Hello, my name is Rich Lombardi, and I'm here to break down the Tomlinson model for you on differentiation. Differentiation is a response to a learner's needs, and the Tomlinson model breaks this down in 9 different ways. It talks about 9 different ways you can differentiate. You can differentiate using learning profile, interest, and readiness. Within those categories, you can differentiate using content, process, and product. I will make this presentation geared towards the PE environment, as I am a physical education teacher. As you differentiate using learning profile, it's different ways students intake and process information. The content portion of that could be the use of maps or videos or pictures. In the PE world, I oftentimes use cue maps, skill maps, getting them from the start of a skill, such as an overhand throw, to the end of that skill, using an overhand throw. I oftentimes show videos of athletes performing a skill to further differentiate that instruction for my students. The process in PE is generally group work. This could be small groups. I use modeling very often in my instruction to demonstrate this differentiation and to differentiate the process for my students. And the project is basically what it looks like at the end. So when I differentiate learning profile, some of my students, I look to create different products. This could be a poster. I mean, this is my 5th year teaching. I have posters of students performing an overhand skill, or we're on the basketball unit now, students dribbling, and it differentiates those cues for those students who may need it. And it all kind of goes hand in hand. The content, process, and product all lead to this differentiation using learning profile. Moving on to interest, PE is one of those special subjects, a cultural art, where some students are going to love it and some students it's not going to be their thing. So when I differentiate using interest, I oftentimes use sports and what's happening in the real world to generate that interest. I usually do my football unit in September, right when the NFL is starting. I'm currently on the 2nd week of my 3-week basketball unit for March Madness. So, it's something happening outside of school that, gets the students interested. Differentiating using content with an interest, you have to talk within content, outside of content. This could be team leaders in PE, students who excel in a certain sport, maybe play that sport outside of school. Differentiating for process, I mostly do centers. It's not so much what centers in a classroom will look like, but it may be skill centers, or if we're in a fitness unit, fitness centers, to really differentiate that instruction based on what a particular student may need, how much differentiation they may need depending on their skills or their strength or weaknesses in that unit. The product is basically what I mentioned earlier, just areas of interest within the content area and outside the content area. We're doing basketball now. March Madness is a big part of that. So we're having the 4th and 5th graders are leading up to a big March Madness tournament. We talk about brackets, and I talk to them all the time. You can go home and watch this. You can find this. So they're not just learning it for no reason. They're learning it to maybe go somewhere with it in life. And that's my goal, to set them up for a life of physical fitness and enjoyment, and introduce as many things as I can. So I'm hoping differentiating through interest can help with that. Differentiating through readiness is how a student is able to learn independently. We talk about PE skills. This is different levels to determine how efficient they are in that area. So I scaffold instruction often. Like I said, just sticking with the basketball theme here because it's fresh in my mind. If a student can dribble really well and they play a team sport of basketball outside of PE, I may make them a team leader. They may not need to work on dribbling with all 5 fingers and not just your palm. That might be easy. They might say, "Hey, Mr. Lombardi, we have this. Can we move on?" I don't want those students to get bored. So I then move on differentiating through process, and I give them tiered assignments, curriculum compacting, basically giving them more challenging tasks. They can even be a coach. Oftentimes I do PBL in here where I have someone be a referee, someone be a coach, someone be a player, and I have them design what a practice will look like in that particular sport. So my students who may be strong at basketball may be the students who are weaker in dance. Like, for example, in February, I had a dance unit, and some of my boys and girls who were very comfortable in a team sport such as soccer, hockey, basketball were not as comfortable in the dance portion. The product at the end is basically, for readiness, is basically a differentiated test. Now, we have certain tests we have to give in the PE world, but in terms of like the test I can put in my grade book on top of the ones that are mandated, I can differentiate them for any skill level. I can provide different levels of support. If a student has a TA, their dribble may look very, very different. I mean, I have a regular basketball here, which is obviously hard for a student to dribble who may be weaker at that skill. I will give them a playground ball, which bounces easier. And this is for any sport. Hockey, I can give them a softer stick. I can give them a tennis ball instead of a puck that will roll longer. And I can still give them the same test, the same grade, but them doing that test will look different compared to other students. That's based off of readiness, differentiating by readiness. But the Tomlinson model is a great way to differentiate using 9 different ways. I like the chart. I'm a visual learner, so I loved how the chart, it has it all listed. How differentiation is a response to a learner's needs, and it breaks it down through learning profile, interest, readiness, and furthermore breaks it down for content, process, and product. This has been a great way for me to learn more about differentiating in my classroom. As a PE teacher, I do that often because I see students from kindergarten all the way up to 5th, and obviously varying skill levels in every single thing we do. So I differentiate every day. But the Tomlinson model really opened my mind to really what I'm differentiating and the what's and hows of how to and what I need to differentiate. So this was my presentation on the Tomlinson model. I look forward to continue using it in my classroom and looking forward to the next few weeks in this course. Have a great day.